Welcome to the Connected Spirit Podcast, a space where the mystical and the human experience merge, where we explore what it really means to walk a spirit-led path. I'm Courtney Dawson, an ethical medium and mentor, and for as long as I can remember, I have felt the presence of the spirit world. But my journey hasn't been simple. It's been one of self-discovery, healing from religious and emotional trauma, navigating fear, judgment, and the loneliness that comes with embracing something the world doesn't always understand. This podcast is here to take what was once considered woo and bring it into the real lived experience of being human. Because mediumship isn't just something we do, it's who we are. Here we dive into the conversations no one else is having, breaking down misconceptions, exploring the unseen, and normalizing the journey of deep connection. We'll talk about the beauty and the struggle of being a medium. We'll laugh, we'll reflect, we'll go deep. And most importantly, we'll remember who we are, why we're here, and how spirit moves through us all. So if you've ever felt something more, if you've ever questioned the unseen, or if you're simply ready to embrace the fullness of your spiritual path, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live. I'm going to be offering a free 15-minute training, and this is going to help you so much, whether you are beginning your mediumship development journey or you're somebody who's working professionally. So let's get into it. If you're struggling with confidence when you're delivering a mediumship reading, here's how to work with your spirit guides to fix that instantly. When we're looking at the connection and the relationship with our spirit guides, a lot of people, especially those that are just starting in their mediumship development journey, they think of their spirit guides as people to give them instant downloads, tell them what to do, basically kind of treat them like they're at their beck and call. And I have to tell you, that is absolutely not the purpose of why you have spirit guides, and most importantly, why they work with you in your mediumistic work. When you have this awareness of the spirit world and you're working with your mediumistic powers of awareness, it is absolutely important that you have a really deep rapport with your spirit guides. Okay? When you're working with your spirit guides, that actually is going to start outside of the mediumship reading, outside of the private sitting, outside of your one-to-ones. Okay? And when you're working with your spirit guides, it's important that you develop that relationship with them, that trust. So when it comes to working mediumistically, you're doing a practice session, maybe you're doing a one-to-one, maybe you're on the platform, you're going to have that awareness of who they are. And most importantly, anchor into their support and their guidance, which is why they're called spirit guides, right? So the relationship with your guides actually starts outside of the development circle, outside of the private one-to-one sitting. So when you're working with your spirit guides and getting to know who they are, it's really important that you're taking the time to know who they are, letting them get to know you. Just because they're in a non-physical form, they have an awareness of your spiritual aspects and qualities and characteristics, but they do need time too to develop that understanding of who you are and what you like. So here's an instance. When I started sitting in a development circle within the first couple of years, when the spirit world would draw close, I used to get massive anxiety or symptoms that felt like anxiety, to the point my heart rate, like on my Apple Watch, it would go to 130, 140 beats a minute. That's like being on a treadmill or going for a jog. And my normal resting rate is about 50 to 60 beats per minute. So it's on the low end. So that made me extremely uncomfortable. And the spirit world kept doing this and kept doing this. But I didn't know at that time I could actually let them know, hey, you guys, I know you're here, but your presence and when you're there, it's actually affecting me this way. And it's making me really, really uncomfortable. And it was actually to the point, you guys, that it made me so uncomfortable, I actually considered throwing in the towel and stopping doing my mediumship. It was that extreme. And so I finally gathered up the courage and I just said, hey, you guys, this isn't working for me. Please find a different way to work with me. And they go, oh, yeah, of course. Thanks for letting us know. So whatever your teachers or instructors have told you about developing your mediumship and working with your guides, I really feel that your own personal experiences are going to be your greatest teacher. And for me as a mentor, as a coach, I feel sharing candidly about my experiences is going to support you too. All right. So, taking the time, getting to know them, sitting in meditation, going for a walk. For me, I like things that are simple. I'm neurodivergent. I don't like to sit for an hour and meditate. I have other things that I want to do. I do meditate, but physically, I can't sit for an hour. It hurts me. So I talk to my guides, check in with them, give them opportunity to get to know me, like when I'm walking my dog and I'm doing my dishes. Probably had the best conversations with my spirit guides when I'm doing the dishes because you're in that calm and relaxed state. And honestly, that's all that's needed, right? So you absolutely need to have that strong relationship with your spirit guides, and that's going to start in your day to day life. Keep it simple. So let's look at how do spirit guides actually work with you? Okay. People think that spirit guides are there to tell them what to wear, what kind of crystal to buy, and they almost kind of treat them like these genies in a bottle or like a genie in a lamp. And honestly, I think there's too much idol worship around it. I don't agree with it. And I'm here to set the record straight of what a spirit guide is and who they and why they've actually shown up to support you in your mediumship work. So let's look at that. So, spirit guides are people who are no longer here in a physical form. Some of them may have lived in a physical life here in the earth. Some may have never had a physical body or physical experience. And these souls have decided that they want to come back and support you and your unique abilities, you and your unique soul path to help bring a level of healing and understanding, enlightenment, whatever word you want to call it. There's tons of different stuff. Healing, I think, is a word that resonates deeply with me. They're there to help you make the impact that you're born to make with your spiritual abilities. And so these souls have decided before you incarnated with you, your council have decided what you're going to do, but how they're going to support you. But of course, we know when we incarnate, we get that spiritual amnesia, so we don't always recall. But they are going to decide who the best guide is to support you in that endeavor. And guides can change over time, but that's another topic, which I'll leave for another day. But they're going to work with you in certain areas. So, for instance, I have guides that actually work with me in my descriptors when I'm describing evidence in a communication. Mm-hmm. And that started about a year and a half ago. And it was really, really good because I said, I don't want all of my mediumship readings to sound the same. Like, if you're listening to this, raise your hand if you're like, you know what, I've been there. I mean, I've done a lot of platform, but I've also witnessed a lot of platform. And you can see where some mediums, it's like exactly what their messages are going to sound like. I didn't want that. So I said to the spirit world, hey, can we do something about this? So they brought a guide. I like to think of guides as like specialists, but when it actually comes to doing your one-to-one readings and stuff, here's how they actually support you. Okay. Number one, they're going to help you balance the energies in the mediumship reading. Because in a mediumship reading, there's a minimum of 4 people involved. There's you, the medium. There's one spirit guide, at least. I usually have 2 that work with me. Then you're going to have your recipient, and then you're going to have at least one of their loved ones. That's 4 energies involved. So you have all of this different energy at play. Now, as a medium, there's only so much that you can control, which is yourself, right? That's it. And so sometimes the energy can get a little bit janky or a little bit wonky, especially if you're dealing with somebody who's going through an incredible amount of grief. Now, that is no fault of their own, but it can present some challenges as the medium is working. The spirit guide can actually help correct that. Now, think about it this way. It's kind of like if you've ever had a bad internet connection and you've turned off the router and it's just not working. Sometimes you have to like completely reboot the whole system. Or if you've ever had your computer freeze, you're like, shit, right? What am I going to do? That actually happened to me during Mercury retrograde. Not fun, by the way. And so I literally just had to shut the whole computer down. The spirit guides can do the exact same thing when it comes to your readings. They're also there to help you if something goes a little weird in the reading. So, for instance, let's say you're in the power, you're channeling spirit, and then all of a sudden it feels like the power dropped. You don't sense spirit, you don't know what's going on, you feel completely disconnected, like you're unplugged. Instead of freaking out, and closing down your spiritual awareness, bringing in your auric field, which a lot of mediums do, right? We go into that panic mode, we start spiraling. You pause and you stop and you go, hey, guys, what's going on? They'll tell you exactly what's going on because they have a bird's eye view of the situation, not only the souls involved, but the energetics as well. And I can't tell you how many times taking that pause and checking in with them has been absolutely vital. And it has saved me from saying to a client, you know what? I don't know what happened. We're going to have to end the reading. Okay. This is how your guides can work with you. Here's another example. If you're working with a client that is in really, really deep states of grief, to the point it feels like they're energetically closed off, they're kind of in this cocoon. Again, this is no judgment of their own, no judgment on them. Everybody deals with grief, with loss differently, right? But what they can do is help soften the energy around the recipient and in the recipient. They can work with the spirit communicator and the medium to bring through evidence and to bring through exactly what's needed to penetrate that layer of grief that's surrounding the heart space. So the healing, which we know mediumship is all about, it's all about healing, can penetrate the depths of their heart and give that person the healing that they really need. Because mediumship has so many therapeutic benefits. I have therapists that refer clients to me because of that. Okay. So your guides can help you with that as well. I've had clients where their grief is so strong, I feel like I can't link. Now, that's a medium problem. That's not a client problem. I mean, we're empaths, right? We get pulled into the grief. It can be difficult, but if you can check in with your guides, they can help shift it. They can help with with working with the communicator so you can get that sorted out. Another thing that your guides can help you with is when you get a lot of no's. So you're giving a reading, you're giving evidence, and your recipient's like, yep, makes sense. Yes, I can understand that. Yep, I can take that. And then all of a sudden you just start getting no's, 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 no's. And then you panic and you're like, oh shit, what's going on? What happened? And then again, you move out of the power, you move into your head, you move out of the mediumistic link, you go into a psychic link at the very minimum. And some mediums, especially if they're in their early development, they go completely out of the link of spirit. And it's like, they're done, they're out of the power. No. And so, where your guides can help you with that is when you take a moment and just pause and go, hey, what is happening? Why is my recipient saying no, no, no? But I can feel the spirit, the evidence that they're giving me, there's certainty behind it. What is happening? And they can tell you exactly what's going on. Here's a couple of ways. Number one, they might share with you how to give that information in a different way so it makes sense to the recipient. Because how I explain things and understand things and perceive things could be completely different than my recipient. You could be sharing a piece of evidence or describing it in a certain way, makes total sense to you. And your partner, your recipient, is like, no clue what you're talking about, babe. None. So you go to your guides. Can you give this to me in a different way? How can I share this so it's going to make sense? Okay. How you get into that flow and that trust of being able to anchor into your guides. So you know that no matter what is going on in the reading, whether you're slaying it and you're getting 100 yeses and everything makes sense and you're bringing through all of those, micro specific pieces of evidence, you really do want to be having that trust and that confidence in that connection with your guides. And again, that's going to start outside of the circle. That starts outside of the workshops and the classes, right? And then you get to go to do the reading and you're like, shit, there's no spirit here. And you're like, oh my God, what's wrong? My mediumship gone? Did it disappear? You go in panic mode. Again, spiraling, very common for mediums. But when you have an established connection with your spirit guides, you just say to them, what is going on? They're going to let you know if maybe you need to ground more, if you need to expand your auric field a little bit more. They're going to let you know if the spirit communicators are adjusting the frequency or deciding who's going to come forward. This is why, as a mediumship teacher and in the Summer with Spirit School, I am going to be teaching and again, letting my students know we have to take time to let the spirit come close. They're going to decide who's going to come through. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Maybe it's 60, maybe it's 90 seconds. Let that happen, right? Don't panic. Check in with your guides. Get an update. Just like if you've ordered something on Amazon and you're like, that was supposed to be a 2-day delivery. Where is it? You're going to probably go on your phone and you're going to do an order tracking. Actually, just did that today, right? Does that make sense? Checking in with your guides is going to give you that status update, that tracking information. Okay? How do you do this? How do you do this? Well, when you're getting into a reading, how do you make sure you have that close connection with your guides so when you come into a reading, you're able to troubleshoot anything that's going to happen, good or maybe not good in the reading? So really simple. Number one, you're going to invite your spirit guide to gather close before you get in on Zoom or before you sit with your client. Okay? Spirit guides, not spirit communicators. And you want to have that blending and have that close connection with them. Okay? I like to have them with me 5 or 10 minutes before, probably about 10 minutes before I even get into my sitting. Having that closeness with them, feeling them, gives me that comfortability. Like, okay, they're here, so I know this is going to work. All right? Periodically, so number 2, periodically throughout your reading, you want to check in with them. Notice where your guide is. Notice if you can feel them really close. Notice if you feel them a little bit back. Check in with them periodically. And you can simply just close your eyes if you want and just check in and feel where they're at and maybe send a little thought to them. I like to do that, not all the time, but again, periodically throughout the reading. It helps you build that connection and that trust with them. Because mediums that are in the early development stages always struggle with confidence. I have taught hundreds of students across the globe, and that is the number one thing that mediums struggle with is confidence. So make sure your guides are there with you before you get started, okay? And check in with them periodically. And if you have a problem, you're getting lots of no's, maybe you feel like the power's dropping, maybe you're not sure if you have one communicator coming through or 3, don't freak out. Don't get all frazzled. You want to pause, you want to stop, and you want to check in with your guides. Ask them for their guidance, ask them for their support. This is why they're called spirit guides. Okay? They're there to guide you. But for you to know and trust that, remember, you have to have that connection with them. And that starts outside of sitting in a circle, outside of your classes and workshops. If you're only connecting with your guides during circle or when you're giving a practice reading, you will cap out how far you can go with your mediumship. You just will. That support, knowing that there's someone there that's got your back. And this is what I'm going to be covering in depth in my Summer with Spirit course. This is going to be a 12-week online immersive experience where we are going to be looking at all different facets of mediumship and really emphasizing the importance of working with your spirit guides, delving into not only connecting with the guides you know, but with new spirit guides and showing you how to deepen that connection with them in addition to your day-to-day life. Because when you have that connection, I promise you, it absolutely changes every single thing in your life, including your mediumship. So if you want some more information on this, Summer with Spirit, it is absolutely a course you don't want to miss out. I have flex payment plans available because I don't ever want money to be an issue for you. You can drop me a DM and I will send you all the details. The Connected Spirit isn't just a podcast, it's a remembering of who we are, a remembering of our connection to spirit, and a remembering that we are never walking this path alone. Mediumship isn't just about speaking with spirits. It's about deepening the connection to our own spirit, to one another, and to the energy that moves through everything. So as you leave this space, ask yourself, what part of this conversation stirred something within you? What connection is spirit inviting you to strengthen? If this episode spoke to you, please share it, leave a review, and connect with me on Instagram at Medium Courtney Dawson, or visit my website at mediumcourtneydawson.com. Your presence in this community matters, because connection isn't just about what we seek, it's what we are. Until next time, trust your spirit, trust the unseen world, and trust that you are always, always connected.